Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Around the Realm. Today, I have my wonderful friend Miellyn joining us again. Hi, Miellyn. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Super excited to delve in. Since, everybody knows you already, we're just going to dig right into questions. So, first question I would have is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced during this campaign, and how did you overcome them?
Do you mean in playing or do you mean like, in the show or outside of the show?
Whichever you'd like to answer.
Wow. I mean, I think that it was really interesting and challenging because there were so many of us.
Hmm.
So pulling everybody together, I know sometimes was a little bit of a challenge. We had a really regular schedule, which was good. Um, and it would have been really fun if we could have been in person.
Yeah,
I
that would have
think
been
that
so
there's
fun.
right. Yeah, I think so too. There are some really positive things about doing it virtually because, you're able to capture each player in a really individualized way. But I would have loved to do that. There are still a couple of members of the cast that I've never actually met in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never
Gotta
met
make that
Ashley in
happen.
person and I've never met Ryan in person.
Oh, we gotta make that happen.
I know. One day it'll happen, but not yet.
Yeah, love a full in-person reunion. Gotta make it happen. So I guess did you have any form of routine to prep for like a next episode? Like let's say, like in the middle of like probably like episode like just for example 4 or 5 because we've established a plot and then do you do
Mhm.
anything specific to prepare?
Well, it's kind of funny. And we've talked a little bit about this before, but Aaron and I are good friends, and I'm friends with other members of the cast too. But Aaron and I have a special thing, and so we would talk sometimes after recording, like, "Oh my God, can you believe what happened?" Or do some like some post game analysis, which was always fun. Aaron's the one who plays the exec, and so there would be that, and she was always amazing at taking the best notes ever. So if I ever forgot
Mm-hmm.
something, I could chat her. I think I shared this with you before, was afraid because there was so much lore. It's part of why I gave my character a little bit of amnesia. Just in case I didn't remember who somebody was, I could just blame it on Sid's head.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like a fun lark to begin with, but it wound up being, I thought, like it was a fun part to play in that because, you know, excuse me, in that world, you have so little.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so with somebody like that, with a net runner, losing her intellectual ability is like the end of her survival.
Yeah.
And so that can be really interesting. Um, I also had like my glasses that I would always have and those kinds of things, which would help me kind of get ready and get into character.
Oh yeah, those are
That's
super
what I
cool.
did. They were fun to have.
I know we talked about this, I think, after like not on camera. So this is also for Ryan too, because I talked to him about this. Why do Sid and Gizmo like shrimp so much?
Now remind me what he said. I want to
He
know.
didn't know. He was like, actually I don't know. He's like, that's Mylon's thing. He's like, I don't really know.
I, I thought it was my fault, but I wanted to see what Ryan thought first before I in reading about cyberpunk.
Mhm.
One of the things that stood out to me the most was the food. It's the same idea about this world where, you have so little and people basically consist on like dog food. I mean, they call it kibble, I think. Excuse me. And just getting over a cold. And so the idea that we could be in situations where there was some money, because we have a few situations, right, where we wind up in the big headquarters of the big mob, and that's this place where there was a display of wealth. Fresh food could be really a display of wealth, and seafood it's like a whole other level of fresh food where it's like it doesn't stay long. It's hard to get, it's hard to transport now. So imagining that in the future, I thought that was like really kind of interesting, and how those two characters, Sid and Gizmo, are very much mercenaries, very much on the job. I think in a different way than some of the other characters. Like every character has a job, but this was their job. Um, excuse me, in a different way. So yeah, I mean, gotta eat. And I think shrimp is funny. And I also think carrying it around in your pockets is particularly funny because it's so gross. It's and so I don't know. I think I said something about it and Ryan just like was right there. That was one fun thing, because like Ryan and I did not know each other before the show, and we're still friends, but we don't talk. Like we're not like texting each other at night or whatever. Um, Yet those two characters really clicked so well,
Yeah.
and we were so in sync. And so, you know, I don't know. Anybody like comes with me on a joke, we're gonna do it. We're gonna run it into the ground.
Which is also one of the reasons why I don't think I would live in Night City because the food is like so hard to get. I'm like, I
Yeah.
see how Sid and Gizmo are just like gunning for the shrimp or anything really. I'm just like, I mean, indoor plumbing is great, but I think I could magic up indoor plumbing. And I think I was talking to this with Aaron that in season one, I don't think you guys ever had like bathroom breaks. I'm like, what do you do in the land of Yashan? I guess I'll have to ask Carmen about that. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what the plumbing situation was like
I don't
um
know.
in Yashan. I do think that now that you're mentioning it, we missed a real opportunity for having some fun bathroom scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really do any of that in Night City either. But yeah, food. But you see, and it's not just the shrimp because it's like all about the restaurants and all
Mm-hmm.
about, and I think it's also really possible it was like a symptom of the time because we're all at home and food was hard to get. And we weren't like going to restaurants or like everything was really small. And so it became like the things that you found really important were just like your comfort
Mm-hmm.
and your food and staying in touch with people. So that's probably a part of it too.
I feel like I need to try shrimp because I've never had shrimp before.
No, like you've never tried shrimp like at all ever?
Mm-mm.
How?
I know. Everybody talks about shrimp, and I was telling Ryan too. I think I told you this off camera, but in 2020, I made skits as Zula, like taking
I
shrimp
know.
and leaving. She pocketed shrimp too, and I'm like, I mean, I've never really had shrimp before, so I feel like I'm gonna have to record myself trying shrimp for Night City. So
I think you absolutely have. I mean, you absolutely do. Now
I'll
there are
let
a
you
lot
know.
of things. First, there's some important things to know.
Okay, okay.
A, do not get peel and eat shrimp. That is not the place to start
Ooh, no, that sounds gross.
because they still have the legs and exoskeleton attached. You have to peel it off.
Mm-mm. No.
Also,
Ugh.
don't eat the tail.
Ew, no. Okay.
Well, I mean, a lot of them serve them on like, you know, with the tail on.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to start with like a popcorn shrimp. They're little, they're deep fried.
Oh,
They're a
okay.
very good entry for
Okay.
shrimp.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, definitely skip the peel and eat.
That sounds disgusting. Okay, popcorn shrimp. All right, I'm gonna make Carmen take me somewhere where there's popcorn shrimp, and I'll record it and let you know.
Hey, you should just go to Red Lobster. It'll be safe.
Okay.
You've never been to Red Lobster either. I could
No.
just tell by the way you paused.
No, I've never been to Red Lobster. I had a chef for a dad. Okay, like I didn't even go to like McDonald's until my senior year of high school.
Gosh, what kind of food does your dad specialize in?
Um, so I mean, he worked at an Italian restaurant. He works at an Irish pub right now. So
That's
it's like
amazing.
mostly, yeah. So I ate good, and I didn't really need to go there. And he was just like, "Yeah, you don't want any of this canned stuff, this or this or this." I'm like, "Okay." So yeah, I haven't been to a Red. Well, I mean, I don't think I grew up in New York, so I don't think we had Red Lobster there. And if we did, I don't know.
Well, Red Lobster is an experience. I mean, it's not a fancy restaurant.
Hmm.
I mean, you grow up thinking it is, right? And but it's not. Um, and but it is very like the most middle of the road seafood kind of thing. But they are very famous for their cheddar biscuits.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you and Carmen need to do a video about you going to Red Lobster for the first time and trying shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of elements there that would be fantastic.
Okay, that's right. All right, Carmen, if you're watching this, I'm sure I'll forget to text you, but we're going to Red Lobster and we're gonna try some popcorn shrimp or any form of shrimp. So
Maybe you can get a whole like shrimp sampler platter.
Oh, there you go. I'll have to like, if I could cook like my dad, I'd just make something like Sid and Gizmo shrimp. But I'll have to try shrimp in order to try and like make a meal. So
Yeah, you definitely. I could find you some. I don't know if I do Sid and Gizmo shrimp. I feel like we had like a green slime like shrimp. He pulled shrimp out of green slime at one point for us. We still ate it,
yeah,
but it was
shrimp is
like I
shrimp.
can't
Yeah,
remember. I know we were on this boat or something,
on the houseboat,
and
boathouse.
I thought that was last season. Although, did we do it again? We did it again
Yeah,
this
no, yeah,
season.
we did it
Yes, yeah.
again. Yeah,
I can sometimes it's hard to remember because
I
it's like
know
so
it
many things
happened
in
twice.
my mind. Yeah, yeah, but there definitely was. Yeah, in the boathouse, this guy,
Yeah,
which I think
no,
was
I know what you're talking about. There was like green. Yeah, I'll have to do that.
no.
Or I don't.
Please don't.
Hey, I mean, hold on. I'm trying to think of how I can make green slime good. I don't know. It's gonna be too
I mean, you
long.
could do
Anyways,
Jello, but I wouldn't. I would not combine green Jello with shrimp.
probably not.
I knew we were going to talk about food this whole time. That was kind of my
Yeah,
plan. So
actually,
this
that's
is
my next.
exactly.
Because that's my next question. What is
What's your
your
next question?
What is your favorite meal, and what do you think Sid's favorite is?
I actually really love shrimp in real life.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And like a good shrimp scampi. Which is shrimp with pasta and garlic and butter. It's basically just
Okay.
and lemon and I think like capers, which are it's amazing.
Oh,
It's
I love
amazing.
capers. Okay, yeah.
That could be also a good entry for you. I'm very into pasta, like
Mhm.
all kinds of pasta, just
Mhm.
obsessed. Um, and I think truly Sid, I feel like Sid is one of those people who defiantly doesn't have a favorite food.
No, really, just anything.
She's just like, no, I don't have, of course I don't have a favorite food. That's weak. What's wrong with that? Like, no, you know, that why would I let anyone know any of this stuff about me? That she's so guarded and so kind of like standoffish. But she does really like the shrimp. But you notice a lot of times when she pulls the shrimp out of her pocket, she's not eating it. She's giving it to Gizmo.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Oh, interesting. I always thought it was kind of like like here you go. I need you to do this for me. Oh, what? You don't want to do it? Shrimp. So.
Yes, there was a certain amount of that.
Yeah.
Although he's such a great, like, he's such a great partner for her that he would just
Mhm.
like, he would do whatever. He was like, I know what we need to do. This benefits both of us. I just want to, get through and make enough money so that Bree and I can go raise that baby.
So delving out of the food questions, is there another character besides your own, of course, that you find yourself in or that you like relate to, and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I love Ruby
I
so
love Ruby
much.
too.
And you all were saying that Larissa's not like Ruby, but let's be real. I'm
Do
just
you hear
kidding.
this,
She's
Larissa?
yeah. I text her right before this before I got on here. I'm like, I'm totally gonna tell them the truth about you. No, Larissa is literally like the sweetest person on the planet. She's like so, so, so nice. Um, but Ruby's so fun, and I love the fact that she just doesn't care. And that, she and Sid had this kind of like history where they worked together and they knew each other, and it's real kind of hazy, which was also really fun to explore. But she doesn't take any guff, and she's just very much like she goes for what she wants.
Hmm.
But you also tell she has a sentimental side because it's like she would not have stayed with Zigzag for all that time if she didn't feel like Zigzag kind of needed her.
Exactly. And I personally love Ruby. Ruby's one of my favorites. I love all the characters, of course, obviously Sid. But Ruby was just I think I talked about this last time, like how the contrast of meeting Ruby and then meeting Larissa,
Yeah.
because I met Ruby first, yeah. Um,
Yeah, she's really good at it, which is so fun. And it was fun to see because I've known Larissa for years now. And to sit, but and I'd seen the work that she'd done, but it's like you see animation or you play a game or something
Yeah.
that's different because it's like you're not like sitting there interacting with the person in real time. And then she just would like click into this thing, and oh, it was so funny and fun.
I mean, I love Raven too with the, like just like the dry, quick quips. And,
Oh my gosh.
we were
Yes.
talking with Ryan about like Gizmo, how he's kind of like a Ron Swanson like character. And I love
Yeah.
the contrast between Sid and Gizmo. It's like one of my favorites. How just no matter what the serious moment is, they're always like, "Where's the kitchen?"
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So I guess talking about Sid, where do you think she would be if not like with this group? Like if she didn't meet like any of the group, Gizmo included.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, she probably were working for some really unsavory corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have, um, I don't know how long anybody would last in this world as a total free agent, just because there's so much danger and there's
Mm.
um, so many things just around every corner trying to unseat you and unsettle you. But I think so. I think she would have been back working for some like conglomerate because there's a certain amount of safety to that, and
Mm.
just trying to gray man her way through just to be able to survive.
Yeah. And where do you think she'd be if she got out of a life of crime? Like, what do you think some of her goals and aspirations would be? Like, this can be, you can answer this whether it be like if she were never with the group or if she was with the group. Like, what do you think the future would be for Sid?
I think, and I don't even know if this is like, I don't know if that's ever a possibility for her, but I think that
Hmm.
like there's a reality where she would want to get out of the city,
Hmm.
get to a place where she was surrounded by a lot of land, a
Hmm.
lot of space, and just kind of be out there. Maybe if she could cobble together some sort of a self-sufficient place,
Yeah.
solar power off the grid kind of thing, and just kind of just hole up and hide out, grow
Hmm.
her own food. But I don't know how sustainable that would be in this world.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like she would kind of have to go to like the land of Yashan for that, because I mean, Night City, or just out of Night City in general, because you lose the indoor plumbing, but you gain a lot more, sort of. It's like a
Yeah,
catch-22. It's
there's
really,
our agricultural options in Yashan for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. There's Army of the Undead, but there also is in this episode, so you know.
Yeah.
I don't believe you answered this before since so you mentioned that you never met Ryan like before this, but Sid and Gizmo's relationship, did this kind of just naturally blossom, or did you two kind of meet beforehand and be like, hey, our characters
um
click, or
it came out of us choosing the character types,
okay, oh okay.
and so we felt like our character types fit together,
Mm-hmm.
like it made sense. And so we talked to each other, and we talked to Carmen about it a little bit, about how we thought, oh, it makes sense that maybe we would be like in business together.
Yeah.
I don't think we carried it super far. We kind of like sketched it out like, okay, well, this seems to fit together. It's like you have the net runner, and then you have Gizmo, who is like the kind of like the hands-on, like the doer, the guy who gets the stuff done. So that's, yeah, that's what happened.
Last question before we get into our very lengthy, this is a action-packed episode, but is Sid finally warming up to Raven, and what made her decide to start warming up to her? So we last had you in episode 3, and where Sid definitely was not a Raven fan, but I feel like right now our group is starting to finally like form a close bond.
Mhm.
So what made her decide to start warming up to her besides Gizmo like being like, "Hey, you gotta be easy on Raven"?
Yeah, the Gizmo pep talks always help, right?
Mhm.
And I think that, Sid has felt for a long time that she had to very carefully protect herself,
Mhm.
and that was really, really important. And that, but anytime you spend that much time with other people, things start to soften, and I
Mhm.
think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since like Raven is I didn't know how young Raven was until I talked with Ashley. I guess Raven was 19. And I
Hmm.
didn't know that how young Raven was like I didn't know that she was like just a teenager. So I guess maybe like something to do with the age too might have something to do with it. But yeah. All right, you guys. We got quite quite an episode here. So we start with infiltrating the Nova Manor, and we meet Helvenica, not Helvetica, like the font,
Right.
Helvenica, which I may slip up a few times because it gets confusing. Anyways, we have a temporary alliance between the Novas and the Benitos. So Sid goes to meet with Helvenica, and we find out that Helvenica can find a way to have Sid relive her memories, but she can't necessarily promise that it'll work. And Ruby tells Zigzag and Raven that Juno and Calypso are in trouble and they kind of need to help them like right now. So Gizmo decides to go with Sid, and we have our group kind of going back and forth in this episode. So Sid decides to do it. She's like, I don't think that there's any other way. So Sid decides to go through with it. Ruby decides to meet the people holding Juno and Calypso hostage at the park because the park is, neutral ground. And when Sid finally is able to do the procedure, she isn't able to see much, just arguing with Finnick and then the Reaper. And then she feels something sharp behind her head and wakes up. So there's some things, but not enough to fully give full details. Going back to our group, Bug is going to drive Raven, Ruby, and Zigzag and Merrick to the park to negotiate Juno and Calypso's safety, but it's not really going to go that good. And we we kind of go back and help.
Understatement.
Yeah. Helvenica last remembers Sid going out to celebrate Oriana's promotion, and Oriana is Sid's partner and Helvenica's best friend. But reports say Oriana was killed by Sid or like a home break in. No one is really sure what truly happened to Oriana,
Yeah.
and Sid still doesn't remember, so that's something to think about. But back to our group at the park. Ruby is waiting to meet them. She waits by the park because, I figure it's a park. It's safe, right? No. The person texts, like, are you alone? And then Ruby, being Ruby, doesn't necessarily answer with a yes or a no. And unfortunately, Ruby gets shot. But she's good because she has some tough armor. And Raven suddenly gets like completely kidnapped, like grappled by somebody. And Ruby gets shot twice in this episode. Ruby went through it in this episode, but
Did.
she's good. She's kind of good. Zigzag was actually really holding her own out there and is calling for Bug, but unfortunately Bug isn't answering. Raven ends up tied up in like some sort of apartment. She got like full on kidnapped. But she got kidnapped by the Whisperer, who was asking for the location of the Nova headquarters. Raven manages to escape, but meanwhile, Ruby and Zigzag are dealing with like this army of the undead and shooting up some zombies. Sid and Gizmo are on their way for backup, but Sid is still feeling pretty weak from that procedure. Merrick unfortunately gets shot, but he's not dead. He's just not doing too good. And we learn that Lucia specifically requested to take Ruby out because, of course, it would definitely be her. And unfortunately, in this episode, we learn that Bug was killed by the creatures of the undead.
Yeah.
It's an action packed episode, and I'm so excited for you guys to see what is next because, oh, it just keeps getting better. Well, Miellyn, thank you so much for joining on this week's episode. It was lovely having you again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was fun to talk about all this, and I cannot wait to hear about your and Carmen's trip to Red Lobster.
I will be sure to let you know as soon as that happens. I'll text him right after this, so we're gonna make it
Okay, good.
happen.
Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
And thank you everybody for tuning in. Be sure to tune in to next week's episode, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.